Peace, peace, family. We are now live. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see the chat. Y'all rocking in the chat. Oh, we're gonna have a great show tonight. A lot to talk about with this whole water situation. Is gonna be very interesting. Y'all see who I got on. Every time water comes into the question, for some reason, my spirit says holla at Aquarius. But I'm gonna bring the sister on in a second. I want y'all to get comfortable. Make sure you hit the like button. Tell your friends and family this is a show you don't want to miss. We'll be back after this brief commercial. I got a Holy Ghost 3 commercial for you. So we'll be back after this Holy Ghost 3 commercial in 1 minute, family.
Started out with nothing. Now I got a whole lot of something. Breaking through the roof. Willie Walker, when he pressed the button. When I do a money ritual, all of a sudden money started coming. Then I cut the Holy Ghost. I still be rhyming even when I'm mumbling. You repeat my name 3 times. While you staring in the mirror, body will appear like poof. I came from out of thin air. To me the gun is like a magic wand. I make a problem disappear. I would knock a nigga teeth out his mouth. Just to turn up to veneer. I can do magic. 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 When I open up my mouth, I can move masses. Black magic on the beat, turn it to a classic. I'ma take the money out the bank, then I'ma put it in a mattress. Tell me the niggas got.
All right, and we are back. Shout out to Cambada, and we are back to start the show. Without further ado, I want to welcome Aquarius Maximus. Welcome back to the show, Queen.
Hey,
Good to have you back on here. Good to have you back on here. Oh man, a lot going on in the news. One of the most viral moments we've seen in a long time is all over the internet right now. What happened in Montgomery, Alabama? I actually thought about you, like I told you on the phone about a week and a half ago. Something happened in Lake Lanier, and I remember me and you talking about Lake Lanier and the spirits in the water in Lake Lanier. And I believe somebody got electrocuted or something when they went in the water. So that happened, and then this situation with the Montgomery, Alabama brawl. And there was a sister on Instagram talking about how a ritual was done pretty much an hour before that event took place. And we all know the history of Alabama and the slave trade. So there's a lot people want to know about. There's a lot of mysteries involving the water, and not just the water and us, talking to the water, but our ancestors in the water, are the people we, are the people we come from. It seems as though we're very connected to this water, and I want to have a thorough conversation with you tonight about it. Because I mean, this is the one thing. Let me just say this before I pass you the mic, Aquarius. I've seen a lot of black people, even church black people, like kind of rejoice from watching the video, and they're not for violence, but we're always on the other side getting brutalized, beat up. We were promoted negatively all over Hollywood. So whenever you're looking at that screen, there's always a negative image of us getting harassed, beat up, brutalized, raped, tortured, murdered, in jail. So it was like a little sweet victory for black people in a sense, seeing this. We're so docile. Everybody seems to just whoop on us and keep it moving. And I don't want to say that because we held it down a lot in this country, but it was just a lot of people it was just good to see on us on the other side of things this time around, even though a lot of us don't condone violence. But with that being said, Aquarius, what's your thoughts on what's going on with this water right now? The brother was even swimming in the water. I ain't never seen a brother swim like that to a fight, man. So yeah, talk to me about what's going on with this water, Aquarius.
well, earlier in the beginning of the summer, I talked, pretty much all the beginning of this year, I've been talking about the transit of Saturn in Pisces.
In Pisces, yes.
And I said that we were going to expect a lot of stuff happening with the water. And the last time Saturn was in Pisces, most of us were, some of y'all anyway, the millennials, very young. So I don't think.
When was the last time again?
She's actually my daughter. I think my daughter is, how old is she? She's almost 30. So I think she has Saturn and Pisces natally.
Okay.
So so it's been around takes about 30 something years for it to go
Uh-huh.
around the zodiac. So it's been a while.
Uh-huh.
And interestingly, I think that one of the things that I find very interesting is how we notice things now versus how we didn't notice it then,
Yeah.
because that's a part of the ascension. A part of the ascension in terms of we're paying attention, we're paying more attention to things that we didn't pay attention to back then.
Mhm.
It's not like astrology didn't exist, but look at how popular astrology has gotten now and so many different things. So we're now paying attention. And that's what cardiology is about as well, getting you to pay attention,
Mhm.
right? So what do we need to pay attention to? Well, the fact that the incidents that are happening are not isolated. They're connected in some
Mm.
way,
Mhm.
So we got on the land, in the ocean, we got the water stuff. In the air, we got the plane stuff.
Mm.
I said earlier in the beginning of the
Mm.
summer that there was going to be a lot of incidents with planes. And all summer long, there have been small planes crashing, there have been plane accidents, little plane stuff going on. So we have everything that's being affected in general by the Earth's magnetic field. So the Earth's
Mm.
magnetic field is affecting everything from the air all the way down into the water, right?
Mhm.
And it's obvious that it's gotten to a point where things got off balance. I know a lot of people, they're like, you get this battle over global warming and saying, well, there's no such thing as global warming and all this other stuff. Well, there's a such thing as things getting off balance. When things get off balance, the balance of the earth is upset. Then we have to do things to reset the balance.
Mhm.
So it's a call to get our attention to focus more on the natural balance of things. And what better way to pay attention than water, because water is something that we need. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And when Saturn is in Pisces, it restricts. You're talking about it's essentially making the things that we need, the very, very thing we need, where it's taking its availability away from us in various different ways. Um, Also, it's getting us to recognize the fact that there are beings that live in the water. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And we've been ever since the beginning of the summer with the Titanic thing, and everything has been trying to turn our attention to the spirits of the water. Like there are things in the water, and it's not even just spirits.
Mhm.
Even if you don't believe in spirits, there are creatures in the water
Mhm.
that you don't even know, that live down in the deep. There's creatures that live down there. There's some creatures that people have never even seen,
Mhm.
and they're discovering,
Mhm.
right? We're also now talking about quote unquote aliens,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And that's the big topic in the Congress right now.
Mhm.
The release of information about the government and its dealings with aliens. And are they aliens? Because I say that a lot of them are not. I say a lot of them come from the earth.
Mhm.
So they may be coming from the water. They may be coming from under the volcanoes or coming from under the ground.
Mhm.
So again, it's bringing our attention to the fact that there are things down and that we need to start paying attention and understanding that we're not the only beings here on earth.
Mhm.
you know there are different densities and dimensions, etc. And these spirits are here, and whether you want to call them a spirit, a being, or whatever, they're here. So when we get scared and we talk about, well, it's going to be a war, it's going to be this, we don't get to decide that alone. You know what I mean? So that's why I tell people, I'm like, don't get afraid when this is going down, because there are other beings here that get to decide whether or not that's really going to happen, because you're not going to blow up their home. You know
Mm.
what I mean? So a lot of it is getting us to get our attention. That's what our ancestors did. Our ancestors, they gave offerings and stuff at the water because this was an acknowledgement that we have relatives in the water. We come from the water.
Right.
This
Right.
is this is acknowledgement of that. We get our blessings from the water because that is where said wealth comes from. It's saying that the source of wealth is deep within the ocean.
Mhm.
Cowrie shells were one of the first money. I talked about that before.
Yes. Yes, you did.
So you're talking about now while we're going through our Pluto return, we're going through the reformation of money. We're going through all of these things that originated in the water. So everything is tying back to the water. Everything. So we're going through all of these spiritual revelations as we're moving into this new awakening and awareness that there are other things out there that we don't see every day and that we don't acknowledge.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mhm. Before we I hear echo. Is that okay? Before we continue, I almost forgot, family. I have to give a huge. I got to take a 1 minute, 1 minute to give a huge rest in peace to a brother, and I want to show his picture. Minister Clemson Brown.
Hmm.
If any of you come from New York, y'all know this brother. If any of you bought VHS H tapes, audio cassette tapes back in the day, this brother was holding it down big time. He has the biggest library. You think Sonetta got a library? You think I got a library? You think I mean, this brother has the biggest library out of anybody in the world when it comes to black conscious lectures. This man was a legend. I'm glad I actually had the opportunity to sit and talk to him one last time. Me and Blue Pill went to his house. I heard he was sick before I left New York. Me and Blue Pill went to his house. We sat down with him and we kicked it with him for a little while. I think I might have did a video. I'm not even sure, but me and Blue Pill got an opportunity to sit with him for a little while. And the brother was going through stuff back then, and I heard he made a transition today on the Lionsgate. We're talking about water, and the name of his company is Transatlantic.
Oh,
Name of
wow.
his company is Transatlantic Productions. So the brother went out a hell of a way. He was a giant amongst us. He was a powerful ancestor, and now he's on the other side. Minister Clemson Brown, I want you to rest in power. I love you, my brother. Thank you for everything. I'm glad I got an opportunity to spend time with you one last time in your house. I wish I would have reached out to you more. It's a lesson for us to continue to reach out to people as much as we can. But I'm glad I got an opportunity to sit down with you. Prayers to your wife and the rest of your family. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. There would be no Brother Rich without brothers like this brother right here, Brother Big Man, Sonetta. Those brothers paved the way. Brother Shabazz, those brothers right there paved the way for a brother like me. So give honor and respect and big ashe to Minister Clemson Brown.
Okay.
Ashe. Yeah, I almost forgot. I'm glad I didn't forget that. That brother was amazing. Like I said, he got the biggest library out of anybody in the world, family.
Hmm.
Transatlantic Productions. So with that being said, well, in today's Lionsgate, I just mentioned today's Lionsgate Aquarius. Is there any connection with Lionsgate and what's going on now that you see with the water and everything happening right now? Is because I know there's supposed to be an alignment with Sirius and everything like that. So talk to me about the Lionsgate. What does that mean to you?
Well, the Lionsgate really, and a lot of these things that, there are a couple of points during the year that we kind of come together and we're able to manifest.
Mm,
But what's so powerful about this time of manifesting, and this is something I've been writing about as well, and this is called like the study of belief systems. This is Atlantean stuff. You
mm,
know what I mean? This is like realigning and reactivating dormant DNA that we have, that we're able to do things that are incredible, honestly, that if we knew what we were capable of doing, that would be incredible. But we've shut off
mm.
a lot of these abilities because it was a time when these abilities caused great
Yeah.
damage to the earth, you know so we had literally gotten so powerful, so mentally powerful, that we upset the balance of the earth and caused a catastrophic event. And when these catastrophic events happen, we get traumatized. So we just kind of like those traumas just turn off various different abilities that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So how we're able to consciously activate these abilities is when we zone in together on particular portals. And when we put our attention to these portals and we say, this is like, so be it. When we create these places where we can all funnel our energy towards, then we reactivate these things. We reactivate these abilities, and that's what we're doing, is we're reactivating these abilities by zoning in on power days. Because again, it's 8-8, but it's actually a 7, 8, 16, 1, 6, 7. And this is a 7-year. So that's actually what makes this even more powerful than people know, because 7 years, this is spiritual manifestation of physical energies. And so this is a real super important time. Also, Venus is retrograde, and Venus is entering in its phase where Venus is going down into the underworld, etc. Right? So journey into the underworld. So we're dealing with not only, and we're in a 6 of Diamonds week. So we're dealing with the elevation of underdog energy. So these types of things are not for people who do this all the time. Obviously, there are people who are able to manifest like this quite often. These events are for underdogs. They're for people who don't really believe they have the ability to do these, right? So they have to be coaxed, and they have to be, their energy has to be pulled in a particular direction so that they can test it out, so that they can believe. So a lot of times you have to almost be tricked in believing your power and believing your godhood. So these are those times, these are those events like Lionsgate, stuff like that, that are for you, the underdog, who doesn't feel like they can manifest on a normal basis.
Okay.
I was telling somebody the other day, I don't pay much attention to these days. You know why? Because I feel like it's every day. Every day to me is an opportunity to manifest something that I'm doing. And I also believe that we have superpowers like that. So I've already began training my mind to have this belief system. But there are other people that have not trained their mind every day. So they need these centers. They need to be pulled in. It's almost like I wrote today what the purpose of Hollywood. Initially Hollywood was created to give us certain information because we are so skeptical. We have become so skeptical that if you tell us the truth straightforward, we wouldn't believe you.
Right.
And we would find ways to tear it down. If somebody told you you're great, you're an X-Man, you're a God, you're an X-Woman, you're this, we wouldn't believe that. So we had to be shown these things, Neptune. We had to be shown these things on the big screen so that we would believe. So a lot of these things are playing out on social media, or playing out in Hollywood, etc., to be able to show us how powerful we are and what we're capable of achieving. Like you even mentioned, people were cheering on the fight that took place. Well, this is another example. I've been saying that, our people are walking into a golden age, a mini golden age, So you're going to see a lot of things that are either going to stoke your fire and get you mad enough that you act, or are going to show you examples of your power. I saw the other day, I saw this man climbing they was calling him the human Spider-Man. He's climbing the sides of buildings and stuff. I said, these are the types of things that you're going to see, so that you can go through this ascension knowing that you're a lot greater than you're being told.
Yeah, no, definitely. And do you think incidents like the Alabama brawl, according to cardiology, do you think we will see more?
Oh, it's gonna get way more.
Yeah.
It's gonna get way more. We're definitely moving towards. I talked about, I think on one of your shows, when I talked about there was going to be a racial separation or segregation. I don't know if a lot of people have been following, but since the Supreme Court ruled
The
against
affirmative action, yeah.
so now they're launching lawsuits against anything Black. So they're launching. They just launched a lawsuit against the Fearless Fund, which is a fund set up for Black women. I just read recently they launched a lawsuit against, I think it's a Black college or whatever. So they're going to start coming for any type of public institution that is geared towards eliminating the wealth gap, racial gap, by uplifting people of color. So they're going to start suing. This is what the conservatives are doing. The neoconservatives are doing this. So they're going to start suing all of these things and trying to shut them down. This is a movement that they're launching. And what is the purpose of this? What is it going to do? Well, on our side, it's going to make us petty, because that's how we get as Black folks. You come for us like that, we get petty, right? And in our pettiness, we say, oh, you're going to do me like this? Well, we're going to pull back our support for XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. So now you have, I know the Alphas recently said that they're canceling, they're moving their annual convention from Florida to Georgia. Right. So there's a method to this madness. I remember I was also telling you that Georgia is going to be the capital, the quote unquote Black capital of America. It is. So all of these people pulling out of Florida, guess where they're gonna go? They're gonna start coming to Georgia and having their conventions and stuff like that. But I say that to say these things are happening because they're gonna wind up pulling us or forcing us to become more unified, which is what the ancestors want. It's what we want. It's what we've been asking for. So we're going to get it.
And the video, I think that's what more so than seeing people get hit by cheers in that video. I think what was most impressive with a lot of people was
jumped in the water and
what
swam over.
the unity was the unity.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you look at us, what's going on with Black people on the internet right now with the Black man versus the white versus the Black woman and this gender divide, and then the old versus the young don't understand the old understand the young. And it was like you seen the old there, you seen the young there, you seen the men there, you seen the woman there, you seen the presence.
You know why?
You finally seen the divine masculine. You finally
see. You know why?
Yeah.
Because that's offline. Everything that's online is being artificially manipulated. And that's something that I've been talking about for a long time. Like, this is a lot of the stuff, the beefs that are online are artificially manipulated. This is something that Russia has been doing for a long time. They know how to play people against one another because that destabilizes the country as a whole. They don't really care about, whether or not these people are arguing, but what it does is it destabilizes the country. So they have bots. They've been financing this program for a long time. There's many news articles. There's a lot of news articles on this where they're talking about how Russia has been financing bots, etc., so that they can create dissension between different groups. And people think they're not doing that to Black folks. Yeah, they're doing it to Black folks because we have a lot of influence.
It's funny you say that. I forgot to tell the people this. This was years ago. I forgot who even told me, but I had found out that an old video of mine with Brother Polite was being used for Russian propaganda. Dead serious. This was like, I don't know if they tried to make it like it was something about against the Democrats or something. Polite had said something, and they was making the video to make it seem like we was anti-democrats. It was so long. It was probably about in 2016 or something. But I forgot even how I found out. I think Red or Blue Pill might have told me. But they did use one of my videos, the old video with Brother Polite, and they were trying to use it. They tried to spin it, change the title, because people don't really watch the videos. They just look at the title, watch 5 seconds, they turn it off, and then they assume whatever the title says, that's what the video was about. So they tried to spin it. So it's very interesting. You talk about the propaganda in Russia and the internet. Very interesting, Aquarius.
There's a lot of that. I mean, as a person in tech, during the last election, there were an incredible amount of what we call ransomware attacks. And these are on regular companies. So regular companies would get online and they would find they didn't have access to any of their files, and they had to send Bitcoin in order to get access to their files. And Russia was launching a lot of those ransomware attacks. And that was happening during the election, the last election. So there was so much going on behind the scenes, technology-wise, that a lot of folks didn't know. That's why I tell people, I'm like, you got to be careful what you share. You also have to be careful what you say, because what you say will be taken and used against you. It'll be magnified, and bots will take it, and the next thing you know, they'll create a whole movement off of something that you may not have thought was even that serious. But they made a whole entire movement and created and made a lot of people angry about it. I was talking to a friend recently, and he was saying how, growing up in New York, he used to get along with, Caribbean people and stuff like that, and blah, 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 growing up in Harlem. And then he said, I can't understand why now we're fighting each other like we don't get along. I said, guess what the difference is?
The, inter-
Twitter.
the internet, yeah.
Twitter. That's the difference. You didn't have Twitter back then. You have Twitter now. And that's where a lot of the dissension is fed, and it's fed on Twitter.
Yo, did you see the video of the influencer, young brother Kai Sanat? I think
Yes.
yo, so he was able to. He announced that he was doing a giveaway in time around in Union Square, New York,
And
and
kind of caused a
tens
ruckus.
of thousands of people came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
see the power we have? The influencers
Flex.
have.
Yeah. It's a flex. It's a flex.
Wow.
Yeah, it is a flex. But with much power comes much responsibility. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You do have to take and channel that in we got to figure out how to channel that power
Hmm.
in a
Hmm.
way that is beneficial to us.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's organizing. So not just doing things, but organizing that effort, because we do have a lot of influence.
Hmm.
If you look at some of the top 100 artists in the world, like over half of them are Black folks. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Beyonce being number one,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So we have a lot of influence, and we have to start acknowledging the fact that we have influence and we have power, and we just have to begin to use it wisely.
So a couple of questions I want to ask you about ocean water. People doing rituals in ocean water. And what are you initiated in, by the way, before I ask this question?
I'm an initiate to Olokun.
A local, could you tell the people what that is?
Olokun is the deep, and it's the energy. It represents the energy of the deep waters, right? And it
Yeah.
also represents people who are children of Olokun or initiates to Olokun. They typically have very deep emotions.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So we're very emotional people,
Mm.
right? And we have to work to control our emotions, just like the ocean has to. When the ocean swells up and you have tsunamis, that is an emotional response.
Mhm.
So we also have to work towards controlling our emotions, because our emotions are connected to our money. And funny you said that
Mm.
today, because today is a Five of Diamonds day, and the Five of Diamonds rules the flow of money, and it
Mhm.
also rules the flow of emotions.
Mm.
So if you follow money on the markets, because today actually rules the money on the markets too, and things like options trading and stuff like that. If you follow the moon, if you follow emotions and things that are going on, the market and the flow of money responds to those emotions. So it's all connected.
And tell people what's the direct connection between emotions and money. I love to hear different perspectives. Like what
It's energy.
is energy? Yeah.
It's energy. So money is energy.
Mm.
And it
Mm.
does move. It's like magnetic energy. It's like a dance, so the dance of emotions are dancing with the flow of money, the energy of money that keeps money moving. From money is a karmic tool. It's going to go to where it's supposed to go,
Mhm.
so that's why sometimes you get money and it comes through your hand so fast. Like literally the minute you get it, it's out the door. You had to pay for this or whatever, because
Mhm.
it has a destination that's not
Mm.
you. The
Woo.
destination is someone else.
Woo.
You're just a pathway for that money to get to its destination.
Damn.
So sometimes you have to wait on money, because money is passing through, karmically passing through other destinations to come to you.
So would you say the most emotional people are the richest people?
Yeah, and they can control their emotions.
If they could control
Yeah,
it, they are
yeah.
the richest
They
people.
have a tremendous amount of emotions, and they work towards controlling it, because they see how. Look at Elon Musk, for instance.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, he's lost control many a times, and
Yeah.
that's why he's been losing billions by the minute,
Mhm.
right? He's definitely very impulsive. He's
Mhm.
lost control of his emotions. His emotions have affected his decision making. We look at billionaires, and sometimes we look at white folks like they're impervious to emotional and reckless decisions,
Mhm.
So here you have somebody who he makes reckless decisions. Even Trump
Mhm.
makes reckless decisions,
Mhm.
right? So this is a phenomenon that you haven't seen in before. Like, you haven't seen billionaires that make reckless decisions and
Mhm.
just do things, and and that might not make sense, and also may make them lose money. But now we get to see it. The veil is up, And now you get to see what really happens behind the scenes. You even get to see it with Zuckerberg. That's why Zuckerberg started meditating and
But
doing
yeah,
martial arts.
uh-huh.
He's a five of diamonds. Today is his card,
Yeah,
you know? So he started doing meditations and all of this other stuff. You seen it with Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons is another five of diamonds whose card is today. And now he's damn near a yogini, right?
Mhm.
But you've seen him lose his head. You've seen him lose control. So typically people who are really, really into that type of stuff, the reason they're into it is because they know they have to control their emotions. They
Mhm.
know they're very emotional and they know that they're liable to snap and they
Mhm.
don't want to lose what they built up. So they go to these Eastern practices, etc., so that they can gain control over their emotions.
I asked this before to people, so I see somebody in the chat ask this, so I want to put it up real quick. Hear what you have to say. Somebody says, "Bro, how can black people be connected to the water when most can't swim?"
No, I think that a lot of people have stayed away because of trauma. So because of trauma, the trauma that we've had that's broken the connection. Remember, we're under the influence of various epigenetic, incidences that have happened over the years. But what I'm starting to see now is there are a lot more black people that are taking their kids and getting swimming lessons and
Yeah.
taking their babies like from birth and getting them into swimming. And eventually you're going to see how good we are in the water, just like you see us with everything else. Everything else we've mastered: sports, basketball, football, whatever. Everything we get our hands on that we get overcome the fear, we master. And we're definitely going to master the water because we're becoming the Atlanteans again. We are awakening those genetics. So we are absolutely going to master the water one day.
Do you ever, I've talked to you in the past about, the occult practices, and you said before you consider yourself a witch. I want to ask you, in terms of rituals and ocean water, do you think it's wise for us to, let's say, collect ocean water to do certain rituals with in our home? Like, let's say, go to the ocean, collect it, then bring it back home and leave it in your home. Do you think what do you think about that?
I mean, it's wise for us to work with the water in general.
Hmm.
That's what the water wants us to do. The water does not want to be forgotten
Hmm.
in that way. So
Hmm.
that is doing the right thing. But if you're ever in question about something, this is why readings are so important.
Hmm.
That this is why we divine, because we ask and then we get divine communication.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have to, you may not know how to read the shells or read the Pele or whatever, but what you can do is get a coin, do a coin toss, get a penny, do
Mm.
heads or tails. This is how I start people off. When people come to me and they're like, I want to communicate with the spirits, I want to start talking to the spirits. And how do I know that they're talking back? Get you a penny. You know what I mean? Ask a question. Ask, do you need something? If it's heads, yes. Tails, no. If it needs something, give it. But then also ask something in return, because the spirits like to prove themselves to you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So you'd be like, hey, I need this. I really want this to happen. Right. And you begin that communication. They're going to make it happen just to let you know that they're listening.
Mm.
You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
things are going to happen. There's a phrase in the Bible where they say, test the spirit or whatever. It's real. The spirits, you can test them because they want you to know that they are listening.
Mhm. What do you think about is throwing money in the water? Is that a powerful ritual to do? Like the coins, the pennies, the quarters? What do you think about throwing money in the water?
That's just simply, again, that's acknowledgement that this is
Yeah.
where money comes from. So
Mhm.
you're acknowledging that this is where money and wealth is coming from. These are all acknowledgments of that,
Right.
because
Right.
that's where they go back to.
Mhm. Indeed. And in terms of like submerging your body in the ocean water, um I hear that, a lot of people, I used to hear a lot of people have testimonies about how much it healed them. They had this wrong with their skin, they had that wrong, they had a cold, and a lot of people used to always told me how healing the ocean water is. So I think we should get in that ocean water a little more. But the thing that's weird, Aquarius, is because of the flooding that, we talked about New York being flood, we were instructed by, I don't know if you said it, but a couple of people said move away from the
I
water, the
did.
coast. Right. So if how are we supposed to be more connected with the water if we're being instructed to move away from the water because of the flooding that's going to transpire?
Because during those times, back in the days when people used to live by the water, it usually used to be like the priests and the priestesses, etc. So
Mm,
these are like the caretakers of the community, communicators that actually work with the water. They give regular offerings to the water,
mm,
right? They dedicate their lives because they are initiated to the water. So if that is your initiation, that is what you are a caretaker, then you living by the water or being near the water makes sense. But
mm,
we got people who are building condos by the water and houses by the water. You know what I mean? So it's almost like daring the water. Come take my house. You
mm,
know, and you're not giving any type of. I look at people like that, and I'm like, you're not giving any type of offerings or taking care of the water, but you build a house there. You
mm,
know, so that again, that is daring the water to come take your house. And if you dare the water to take your house, it's going to take your house. You know.
mm, mm, mm. No, indeed, yeah, yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. And what do you think about the? I seen somebody post earlier about I guess shark attacks that's been happening recently. What's your
Oh
thoughts on
yeah.
that?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Everything is coming up. You
Mm,
know, because again, the balance of the earth, the electromagnetic frequencies are reshaping the earth right now, right?
mm, yeah.
And in this reshaping period, there are things that we're supposed to be doing and not doing, you know. So but if we're steady not paying attention, steady doing the wrong thing, putting the wrong energies out there, polluting the waters or whatever, then we are further upsetting this process that's happening. You know what I mean? So things
Mhm,
are coming out the water saying, like, look, chill. You know what I mean? Get out the water, go somewhere else. Go sit down. If you're not going to do anything about this, get away from the water, get out of the water. Because that's
mhm,
what they do. When the sharks come up, it's time for you to leave.
mhm,
You know, the shark, you don't when you see sharks, a shark is a warning. You know what I mean? So it's
mhm,
not when you're in the water and a shark swims up to close to it's a warning, you
mhm,
know. So that's like front line. That's like your dog. When you have a dog at the house and you send the dog out to warn people, don't come up in my yard, you
mhm,
know.
mhm,
So we're not paying attention, and it's for our own good. You
mhm,
know, when when we're going in this heating process, what's happening as well is that the water's heating, the bacteria is growing, right? So
mhm,
now we have bacteria, we got flesh eating, brain eating bacteria that's even more dangerous than the sharks, you
mhm,
know, that are now overgrowing because of the new chemical constitution that's being cultivated by just the electromagnetic field changes and the solar changes. You know, when they closed down Lake Lanier for swimming at the beginning of the summer, I
mhm,
knew that it was because of the bacteria level. I said that the
mhm,
reason why they closed Lake Lanier for swimming is because of the bacteria level.
mhm,
They know that there's going to be a high bacteria level there, and there's going to be brain eating amoebas and all kinds of stuff. So they shut that down. And that's been happening everywhere, not just Lake Lanier.
mhm,
Yes, we got issues with Lake Lanier because there was land that was stolen, right? So there's issues there, and it has to be acknowledged. The rights have to be wrong. I actually did an E. King reading on it, and E. King said rights have to be wrong, wrongs have to be righted. It has
mhm,
to be acknowledged that land was stolen. It's
mhm,
not necessarily that people were wiped out because Lake Lanier was created decades after Thomasville, after they were chased out of Thomasville, but Oscarville, I'm sorry. But the truth is they were chased out of Oscarville, and they were, you know, their land was taken away from them.
mhm.
So that's the truth of it. So how do we resolve that? Well, we resolve it by getting it back. You know, we resolve it by getting it back, by taking it back. We don't resolve it by saying stay away from Lake Lanier. No, we resolve it by saying this is ours. Let's take
Mhm.
it back, you know?
Oh, indeed. Let me ask you this: in terms of water and black people, a lot of people know the relationship black people got with seafood. Black people love some seafood.
Yes, we do.
Oh, niggas love some.
We're ruled by
Woo!
Cancer. We are
Woo!
Cancerians.
So talk to me. Is that what's the is That can't be a coincidence. So talk to me about
Cancer.
why we love seafood. Yes. Okay.
Everywhere you see the sign Cancer or Cancer energy,
Mm,
you're going to see seafood.
mm,
Seriously, everywhere. America's sign, the birthday of America is Cancer, is
mm,
July 4th, 4th of July, Cancer season. This was originally, this is known as Turtle Island, right?
mm,
Another sign of Cancer. So many signs of Cancer, right?
mm,
So that goes to show you who America was created for.
mm,
It was created for the water children. It was created for you. It
mm.
was created for the Atlanteans, the new Atlanteans. We're gonna do this all over again, and this time we're not gonna blow up the world.
Wow, that's a big wow. And you alluded to that earlier. For those who came in late, I just want you to reiterate something. Maybe you can expound a little more. You're saying back in antiquity, our powers we were so powerful and we started misusing it and we almost blew up the world. You're saying we almost just wiped out everything. Because all we are
We
from
did
history,
wipe out some things. We actually did. We did cause a calamity. We did cause a catastrophe.
and
And
this
what
is
and it was like the effect that it had on us is like other catastrophes, memory loss,
oh,
etc. All of those things like that. Like when you have a serious traumatic event, your memory is one of the first things to go. Like literally, like you like, I don't even remember that I just ran into or whatever. So memory loss is what that triggered. And not only memory loss, but literally just the loss of willpower to do some of the things that we were able to do back then. Because it's all about willpower,
mhm,
and we lost the will to do a lot of things. That's why a lot of people, if you look at it, you can easily see that it is the descendants of Africans or Black folks or whoever we want to call it that were the Atlanteans. It's easy to see that. The
how
reason
how
being
is it?
is because
Yeah,
we are the ones that are struggling the most with our power, you
mm,
know? So if Atlantis was wiped out and they're, basically they were traumatized, they would struggle with their power, right? And honestly, white folks don't struggle with their power. You know
mm.
what I mean? So we do. We have a serious issue with our power. That's what we're overcoming now. So it's easy to see that we were the Atlanteans. That is the reason why we have such an issue with our power.
Let me ask you this, Aquarius. Why do you think a lot of the this idea of Atlantis, I think this is like a Plato New Age kind of study that people do. Um, and a lot of the Pan Africans, I'm trying to figure out the right words. A lot of the brothers that's into the whole Pan African movement, let me just use this word, the Black Power movement. I hope that's the right word. Or just like the that those type of studies, they don't really go. Or even some of the brothers that study Kemet, they'll study Kemet and they're ended there, but they don't mess with the whole myth of Atlantis. Why do you think a lot of our scholars they'll go to Kemet, but Atlantis seems to be something that's cut off to a lot of our people, even some of our master
Because
scholars?
because the powers that we had were so incredible and so powerful. In today's time, that would be looked at as like mythological.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So unbelievable, So, we really, again, it's also tied back to our power. That's how we feel about ourselves.
Mhm,
When I'm telling people about their powers and cardiology and the superpowers that you have, etc., I have to feed it to you in almost in a story form,
mm,
and actually that's what the spirits told me recently. They was like, we want you to start writing fiction, right?
mm,
And I was like, okay, because they said that because that's the only thing that they're going to receive without tearing apart in a skeptical manner. You know what
mm,
I mean? And they need to be able to absorb this information. So I actually recently just started. I'm working on something on Atlantis, and I'm writing it in fiction. You
mhm,
know,
mhm,
so because there's going to be, it does not trigger your trauma, and instead it opens up your curiosity and
mhm,
makes you want to dig deeper and makes you want to look in deeper and swim deeper and get deeper into the information, just like Hollywood.
mhm. Where would you describe Atlantis being? I've heard different things. I've heard the Caribbean. I've heard Atlantis is the whole globe. I've heard Atlantis was in different places. According to your studies, where exactly was Atlantis?
I would say that Atlantis was the point between the east and the west, like directly in between. So it's all of that caved in area that
Mhm.
in between in the Atlantic Ocean. But it also covers part of the eastern coast of America, and it covers part of the western coast of Africa.
Hmm. Indeed. Do you have any, speaking of Atlantis and the waters, have you ever had like reoccurring dreams of that time in Atlantis, or are you able to travel back there or just tap in to memories like stuff you've
All
never
the
read in books?
all the
Give me some examples because this will help us and this will be quite interesting for us to hear.
I mean, all the time. I mean, that's where I am right now. Like, just literally try. I mean, there are a lot of things that I want to do right now. I mean, I have the urge to get into diving. You know, I've been
Mm,
developing an incredible urge to learn how to dive and go really, really, really deep in the waters.
mm,
And yes, I'm really, really afraid to go
mm.
really, really deep in the waters. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, it's like the trauma is there, but
Yeah.
I
Oh
want to
man.
break the trauma. I have the desire to break the trauma and to go deep, deep, deep in the water.
It's funny you say that. I was with my girl. We was in Florida the other week, and I was telling her, I was like, yo, you know what I really want to do? There's two things I want to do because I want to learn how to fly a helicopter. But I told her, yo, I want to learn how to surf. But I'm so scared of the water. I am terrified of the water. I
And
mean,
they have those new electric surf
I
things.
see
You
them.
saw those? Yeah,
Yes, I
yeah.
see them, but I'm like, yo, I gotta learn how to surf before I die. That's fun. That ain't just a white boy thing. That's something we need to be doing too. So it's funny you say that. It's real
Somebody
funny.
asked, "Can I swim?" Yes, I actually can. My
Mm.
my kids think I'm great at swimming, and I don't think I'm great. But they're like, "You're really good." I'm like, "No, I could be better." You
Uh,
know, I want to be better. But yeah, I do swim. My grandfather was buried out in the ocean. We
mhm.
used to call him a merman, because he would, we lived in New York, and in Coney Island, all of those beaches, he would go so far out that it would be scary. Like,
Wow.
to see him come up and go down, come up and go down. And he said when he passed, he wanted his ashes to be thrown in the water. So we took it out to the water.
Mm.
So, our connection to the water is like, that was something that he required when you were little. He'd take you and throw you out in the water, and you better start swimming,
Yeah.
or whatever. But so we definitely have a very, very deep connection, and I want to explore that connection. I really, really have the urge to explore my water connection.
Indeed. Do you think at one time in antiquity we were able to communicate, like talk with the sharks and like right now we're scared of them, and you're saying it's a warning if you see them. Do you think we was able to communicate with these creatures in the
I
ocean?
think we still communicate with them. I think
Mhm.
we communicate on different levels with a lot of creatures. It's just that we don't know that we're
That we're
communicating.
communicating with them, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't know. You know,
Hmm.
I back during the pandemic, I went to Cancun, and I went snorkeling to go see the ruins and out in the water. And I found myself in the middle of the water by myself,
Mm.
and I had to swim back to the boat. And I went underwater, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's like a big open pit here, and there's a coral here. Which way am I gonna go?" I chose the pit because you get
Mm.
caught in the coral.
Mm.
But I swam back. I swam back to the boat through the pit of water, and that was enough for me to know the protection that I have. Because I was like, "Wow, that was amazing!" Like, literally being out in the middle of the water and swimming through a pit of darkness,
Mhm.
down there with sharks and everything else. And I made it to the boat. I was like, it again, it encouraged me. I said, yeah, I do want to delve deeper into this.
I
I
see
do.
people in the chat mentioning dolphins. Is there some type of unique relationship we have with dolphins?
Yeah, because dolphins are extraterrestrial.
Mhm.
So, it's always been said that dolphins are extraterrestrial, that they were brought here
Mm.
um, from another planet. So, yeah, absolutely. And they're very smart. They're very intelligent. They're a lot like us. They have emotions. They have attachments. They fall in love. all of that stuff. Yeah.
Mm. This is interesting. Somebody says sharks are the ancestors from the transatlantic slave trade. What you think about that?
Well, we have spirits from the transatlantic. I could see, you know, them incarnating into those beings,
Mhm.
and that happens. A lot of times it's said that we become like the moss and the green,
Right.
that grows in various different places. That's what our ancestors are, and they cover the country. Like wherever you see, you see those vine things. They even talk about it in Louisiana, where you see those vine kind of things is said to be our ancestors.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. Yeah. Very interesting. We're going to get to some Q&A from the family.
Someone said dolphins are evil. They rape the woman, gang up on her, and kill the baby. I don't know about that. You've been watching a lot of that. What is it called? They talk about that on those conspiracy sites about dolphins. You got to understand that some animals were trained and kept in captive to
right.
to do stuff, but that's not natural dolphins that are out there. They're not out there raping people.
Indeed. Indeed. We're going to do some Q&A right now, family. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Got almost 3,000 people in the chat. Shout out to all of y'all. Have been having a great conversation with Aquarius Maximus tonight. Um, Once again, if you came in late, rest in peace, Minister Clemson Brown, one of the greats in this world, the brother who had the biggest conscious library out of anybody on this planet, made the transition today on the Lionsgate. The name of the brother's company was Transatlantic Productions.
Hmm.
Wow. So rest in peace to that brother.
Atlantis.
Yeah, Transatlantic Productions. Yeah, yep, that was it. Yeah, so rest in peace to that brother right there. Let's get on with the Q&A. Uh mm,
Someone asked actually about Avatar. Absolutely. Like, look at how many movies have been coming out about us in the water.
yeah, yeah.
You had
I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Yeah, good.
you had
Yeah.
Avatar coming out. You had the Little Mermaid. You had a lot of that coming out this year, and of course, Saturn is in Pisces, so you can expect to see the water. The water themed things, especially in Hollywood. Can you talk about the water sign Scorpios or people who were born on the first? You want to talk about Scorpios. Scorpios were having a very difficult time for the past year because the South Node was transiting through Scorpio. So if you're a Scorpio, you may have felt that you were being held back or just couldn't get forward because of the transit of the South Node. But now that the South Node is out, it's now in Libra. The South Node is in Libra. So now it's the Libra's turn to flush out some of that old karmic energy. And it's time for Scorpios to move forward. Venus retrograde. Can swimming be a type of meditation? Absolutely. Swimming is meditation. When I swim like I meditate, like I'm on my back, like I swim on my back, and I just imagine myself feeling myself so connected to the water and just relaxing and letting the water take all of that energy and weight off of me, because that's what it is. It cleans, it cleanses. That's what water does. So you can go to water to have your emotions cleansed, have some of that pulled out of you.
All right, all right. Okay. I want to ask you something before we get to the questions from the family. Just analyzing what was said tonight and us talking about our trauma with water and our fear of water and considering how intimidating the ocean is to us. We're intimidated, we're fearful of a lot of things in life, of the system, and as black people, there's a lot of fears we have in this society. Do you think getting over our fear of the ocean, since it's one of the biggest fears we have, once you get on the ocean, it's like it's just you in the water, nobody else. Do you think once we overcome that fear, we can overcome any fear, whether it's white oppressors or anything? Because that's like probably one of the biggest things that we are fearful of. Do you think once we get rid of that, it'll just trickle down and we'll get rid of all of our other fears?
I definitely do. I definitely think once we get rid of our fear of the deep,
Mm-hmm.
we will be able to face some of our own deep emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and not bottle our emotions up, because that's what we tend to do. We tend to bottle our emotions and then explode.
Mhm,
And I feel like we do a lot of things out of the explosion of our emotions that we don't necessarily mean to do.
mhm,
So that's why I don't find people as just quote unquote evil.
mhm,
You know what I
mhm,
mean? I find that people have bottled up emotions, especially our folks. They have bottled up emotions about things, and then they explode, and they do something within that explosive moment. You
mhm,
know, so that's why controlling our emotions and becoming more emotionally aware, and becoming more emotionally intelligent is gonna restore our power a lot.
mhm.
Because we're gonna stop flipping out on each other, and we're going to be able to work together with each other more, because we're not going to allow ourselves to get emotionally out of control.
I just got a question that was beamed to me like that while you were. So it's funny how fast something to get an idea get beamed to you so instant, and you got to catch it so fast. But I just while you was talking, I just had a question that was like beamed to me like mad fast. So I want to ask it before I forget it. Do you think being in the ocean, we talk about the ocean water being healing. Do you think the further down we go in the ocean, the more healing it is? It's like when you have tea and the tea don't make it to the top, and the strongest content of the tea is at the bottom, and the more you make it to the bottom, you get the higher concentration of whatever you put in the tea. Do you think that the more further down we go in the water, the more we will be healed, but we're only at the top, so we're not getting healed as much as we would if we go further, deeper, deeper, deep into the ocean?
Well, when you get further deep into the ocean, you get closer to the volcanic core of the earth,
Mm, mm,
and the volcanic core of the earth is very healing.
mm,
But I don't think that, again, I don't the core of the ocean is like twin to the space, outer space. So
mm,
just simply, like, you can't just go out in outer space. You
mm.
can't go out in the bottom of the ocean either, you know?
I ain't even saying the bottom. I'm just saying a
Like,
little deeper. Like we
just
don't go
go
deep at
deeper.
all. We
Oh
be
no,
at the top.
yeah, going deep. There's a group of people that actually go deep diving, and because of which they can breathe longer underwater,
Yeah, yeah,
right? I know
yeah,
you've seen them.
yeah, yeah.
They literally can walk on the bottom of the water and stay under I think up to like maybe 15 minutes or something like that, which is
Mhm,
unheard of,
mhm.
you know? So yeah, it's going to be able to do some amazing things for us. Obviously, that's very amazing to be able to go underwater for 15 minutes without having to breathe the air up above.
Mhm.
So yeah, absolutely.
Somebody wants to know, where's this? Did the witch hunt back in Europe cause us to lose some of our magical memories?
Well, a lot of the witch hunt that occurred in Europe was affecting the European women, because there were European women that were descendants of like the Celts, right? Which were descendants, you go even further back, they're of course they're connected to us, that's obvious. But because they were the Celts, they had a piece of some of the knowledge and the rituals and the stuff that we had, and they were persecuted because of that, because they kept the preservation of those traditions and stuff. So them, that was a lot of that witch hunt that occurred there. Of course, that was post Protestant era by the Catholic Church. That mostly affected them more than it affected us.
Mhm. Uh, are there worlds under the ocean waters? Will the alien invasion be from the depths?
Well, it won't be an invasion because they're here.
Yes.
So that's, what would you call it? The alien unveiling? You know what I mean? So they wouldn't be invading because they live here, So, I wouldn't call it that. But yes, they are coming up from the depth. That's obvious. Even in some of the UFO files, they often talks about ships that were going in the water, that
Mhm,
either went in the water or went in the volcanoes. So
mhm.
they've obviously been down there. I mean, what better place for them to be? If they have that type of technology, what better place for them to hide out where we wouldn't even find them, or we
Yeah.
wouldn't just stumble on them?
Oh yeah. Somebody says, is that a mermaid on Aquarius's necklace?
No, that's a scorpion. As a Scorpion. This is just to remind me of my power sometimes.
Indeed, indeed. You're Scorpio?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Somebody wants to know what planetary body should we be working with during this time?
Saturn.
Saturn. Woo! You know they scared to work with Saturn. Don't tell them that.
Know that.
You know they scared to work with Saturn.
But the other
Man,
folks have been working with Saturn, and that's why they where they at.
the small hats. Are we talking about that? I don't, might be talking about them.
Yep.
Man.
I mean, we've had, remember how they used to say what time it is? What time is it? The timekeepers, the people who own the time here on Earth. These are the people who work with Saturn, you know. So they know when things are destined to happen, and they're right there waiting for it to happen, and they're building. This gives them an incredible amount of patience, and that's what we lack. The lesson this week in the Six of Diamonds week is about patience. We lack patience. I was talking to one of my friends, and he was mentioning about, sometimes we mention about our kids messing up and we're ready to write our kids off. But why would you write off a 20-year-old? They got like 80 something years left to go, you know? But we tend to be impatient. We don't look that far down the line, right? But you're talking about, we're dealing with people who are running this world that look a century down the
Down
line.
the line, yes.
And
Yes.
they look 2 centuries down the line.
Yes.
So they're like, we got all the time in the world to do what we're doing. And in that time, they build. Because when you know that you have all the time in the world, you build. No matter how long it takes you to build something, you're going to build it and you're not going to stop.
You're right.
So that's why I say that we need Saturn.
Okay. All right. A super chat question. What can I expect during my Saturn return in Pisces during this time?
You can expect facing a lot of your shadow stuff. Having Saturn in Pisces gives you the ability to kind of bury things deep beneath the water. You know what I mean? So you'll have periods in which, your pain and the things that that you've gone through, you buried, and then it'll pop up on you. It'll spring out on you, maybe cause a mental thing, a mental break, or a sudden episode, because these are the things that you've suppressed down under the water, right? And they're just slowly gonna rise back up, and you have to deal with it. So during this time, this is about dealing with those things, those shadowy things that you may have pushed aside and have successfully escaped. Maybe you smoke, maybe you drink, maybe whatever, you have some form of escapism that helps you to deny those things. And that escapism at this point can make you sick. So when Saturn is in Pisces, you got people who are using drugs and now they have fentanyl. I actually have a theory on why a certain celebrity had a recent stroke, and I'm not going to say no names, but fentanyl is going around. You know what I mean? So, and there's a reason. So what you have when Saturn is in Pisces is it poisons your escapes. Your escapes won't be escapes. So if drugs is your escape, then your escape is going to be contaminated. If sex is your escape, it's going to be contaminated. That's what Saturn deals with, the contamination of these things. So you can't run to these things, run, you can't escape. You have to face and deal with whatever's pushing you to run away.
Damn, you saying some deep shit. Let's get to this next super chat question. Can you elaborate more on Libra South Node and how will it affects cardinal signs?
Well, the South Node, they're talking about the South Node transiting into Libra. So Libra is a sign that deals with two things in general. It deals with balance. It deals with relationships and partnerships. It deals with your dual, that side that balances you, right? And it also deals with justice, right? So we're talking about the restoration of what's right, You know what I mean? On a deeper level as well. And the South Node is the past. So that's why we're talking about things like reparations. That's
Mm-hmm.
why we're talking about these things about righting the wrongs that have been done to us, etc. Because this is going to be the time when that happens. Because Libra is not going to allow us to be able to move forward. It's not going to allow us to go forward on our goals until we deal with restoring balance to the things that have occurred in the past. So if you are a Libra, right, you are one of those people that you're going to have more balanced energy. I kind of look at Libras as the center of the world in their environment, like their families. You know what I mean? They, because they are, their sign is dealing with balance. They are the ones that are supposed to come with that come with that guidance and that direction on, you know what I mean, like, hey, you're doing too much, don't do this, don't go there, and all of that. And they're the ones that are also supposed to be to show people the importance of working together, because that's a part of balance. A
Mm-hmm.
part of balance is working together, partnerships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Working with people that you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that is overcoming and that is excelling. Like, that is what we have to do. We got to learn how to stick together and work with people we don't like. You know what I mean?
That's a big one, Aquarius. A lot.
Because but look, they do it.
Yes, all the time.
They do it all the time,
Yes.
right? They're in politics doing it.
Yes.
They're everywhere doing it. But we are canceling each other. You
That's
know what
good.
I
I'm glad you
mean?
said that. I'm glad you
We're,
said that.
we're canceling. So I definitely see like this is going to be a time where that cancel shit, excuse my language,
Yeah.
is gonna get nipped in the bud, because this is
Woo.
how karma works.
Woo.
Karma forces you to have to work with somebody, because that person may be the key to your forward movement, the key to your success, the key to whatever. You're going to come in contact with that person. You know what I mean? And you're going to have to figure it out. You can't walk away from this person and say, I'm not dealing with this person. Well, then you're not going to get where you're supposed to get. You're not going to get where you're supposed to go. I personally have been preparing myself. There's people I don't like, but you know what? I know that just because I don't like them, Spirit is going to pair me up with them.
Mm.
Spirit is they are going to hold the key to one of my movements in the future. So I have to prepare myself ahead of time to say, what are you going to do when you got to have a conversation with this person?
I had to deal with that earlier this year when I had to make. It's not that I didn't like the individual, but we had a falling out, and
Yeah.
my spirit told me, I got to swallow my pride and make amends with
Yep.
them, because we're
Yep.
going to be doing work in the future, and that's
Yep.
like
Yep.
literally, my spirit was like strong. It came on strong, and I was
Yep.
like, I got to call, So I know
That is
yeah,
because that is a part of healing you.
yeah.
And we're going through this healing cycle, right? So part of our healing is going to be getting over those types of blocks and divisions. You know what I mean? Factions and factors and religions and this and that. You're going to have to work with the most unlikely of people.
Yeah, no, definitely. Somebody said Dame Dash. No, not Dame Dash. I haven't talked to Dame Dash. No, not him. Somebody shout to that brother. I'll talk to Dame eventually one day, but shout out to that brother. My favorite sign. Somebody says, what about Virgo? That's my favorite sign. Greatest sign in the universe. What's going on?
Yeah, Virgo was recently going through it. I think
Oh,
Virgo has had a tough time the last year, because I've been hearing a lot about Virgo and Virgo going through tough times.
nah, not me. I haven't.
Well, not you
Yeah.
per se, but I definitely heard of some Virgos going through some tough times over the past couple of years, etc. But definitely, this is a time when Virgo energy is very strong in the United States. Is displacing the two of spades, which I said work and work together, right?
Mm,
And Virgo rules the sixth house, which is the house of work. Like literally, it's a work house,
yeah.
right? So I think that Virgos are going to be very instrumental in leading the way to developing the plan, developing the details to how we're going to get together, what we're going to be building. I see that for Virgos. I think that coming up is going to be a big Virgo relationship period. You know, coming up in the next year, it's going to be big for relationships for Virgos, because Virgos need to have relationships in order for them to be able to relate with other people, right? You don't have a lonely Virgo, you know, a urge to bring people together. You have Virgos who have, you know, good relationships that will help other people figure it out, you know, and to have good relationships. So I see 2024 is going to be a big relationship year anyway. It's the 8 of Hearts year.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
so you're talking about lots of marriages, stuff
Mm.
like that is going to be going down. So we're all going to be moving towards that. And then again, money, because I already told y'all my prediction is that there's going to be some checks coming out in 2024. So a lot of things are going to be loosening up.
Okay. Let me see what's going on. Bro. It's a lot of sign questions on signs. I'm trying to find.
Yeah, where I surprised no cardiology questions today.
You still do the cardiology readings, right?
Of course.
Definitely, yeah. You ill with it. She ain't no joke with them cardiology readings, y'all. Um, give me some good questions if y'all got questions about cardiology. There was one question I was looking for. Where did it go?
So I'll tell you one thing. I've been talking a lot about the harvest season coming up.
In September, yeah.
This
You
is a
told us last
big,
September. You told us last,
yeah,
yeah. You told us last, yeah.
This is a big harvest season because number one, we got these double full moons right now leading the harvest. We just had the full moon in Aquarius the beginning of the month, and then we're ending off with the full moon in Pisces at the end of the month. And all of this, so we have a blue moon, which is a double full moon prior to going in harvest season. And then also Venus will be turning direct in September. So we're getting through all of the what we don't want, right? So we're able to, when while we're sitting here stewing on what we don't want, and we start we start manifesting more, like putting more energy towards, okay, I really want this. I didn't want this. This is not what I want. So a lot of people are at this point right now where they're cleaning out the emotional garbage and and all of that stuff, and they're building, and this energy is building towards a better harvest season coming up, right? And harvest season typically takes place in September, or sometimes it takes place in October. It comes with the moon, the harvest moon, what's called. And people don't understand, like, this harvest thing is a real thing. Like, this is talking about your karmic harvest. You know, I talked about that before when we talk about the corn and the cornfield, and you know how corn would grow typically would tell you how karmically things are going to look. People don't realize that corn is technology, you know, and that corn is divine technology, and it's not only just there to, you know, create all types of products to eat off of, but it also tells you the state of the world, and the state of our karmic state of the world is usually judged by the corn crops. You know, so these are a lot of sciences that we just don't know and we don't pay attention to. But as we start getting land, and as we start working with the land more, then we'll start tapping back into the way that the land communicates with us, and the way that the earth communicates with us, and we start dealing with earth technology, you know. And that, yes, that technology, anything you see that has numeric patterns, like when you take a ear of corn, it has rows. And it has a certain amount of corn kernels on every piece of corn. This is numbers. This is mathematics. So it's like almost having a hibiscus or whatever. You know what I mean? And these things are there to show you where you are, like what is going on. Like if we're going to have a good season, if we're going to have a good season next year, all of these things are determined from the crops. So start paying attention to that type of stuff. Like literally start getting into those types of sciences again, because That's how you align yourself and create belief systems in which you can manifest, because you start tuning your mind into things like this. So, okay, this is what I want. So harvest season is coming up. So I'm tuning in on harvest season. So I know if I do my work now, that by the time harvest season comes, I'm going to have a karmic harvest. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
So you have to start tuning into those times.
All right, we're gonna take a couple of more questions before we get out here. Divinity Warrior wants to know what does this mean for a pregnant woman during this time? Everything we're talking about. All
Venus
right.
retrograde, Saturn
Saturn.
and Pisces.
Yeah.
So if you have a child during Saturn and Pisces, this is going to be obviously a very, very, very psychically in tune child. However, Saturn delays. So when you have Saturn in a sign like Pisces, which deals with your psychic intuitive abilities, then it may not, the awareness of this child's psychic powers are not going to be until later. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So you may not be aware of how psychically powerful your child is. You may have to work with the child to bring it out. You know what I mean? Like it's there, but it's going to be hidden. It's going to be suppressed. It's going to, there may be challenges. Like your child might have challenges, and you think your child has challenges, but really the child has powers. And the challenges are so that the child can develop those powers even more. So that's what you have to look at, things like that as well, because we have a 6 of spades right now for the United States getting ready to come up, right? And the 6 of spades deals with delays. So there's going to be a lot of children that are going to be born gifted, but what we call gifted, like they have these things going on, and we think that they're issues, when in fact they are there to train the child. So they're there so that that child can overcome those things and their powers can come to the surface. So this is the type of things that you're dealing with. So you're going to have very, very, very psychic children, very, very elders, psychic elders. Like they've done this, they've already done this, been this and done that. They've been there and done that already, and they're back to be able to utilize their psychic powers for the benefit of humanity.
I heard something about a lake in Russia with mermaids that people were warned about visiting. What is going on with those beings that puts them in battle, hostile, protective mode with humans, if that info is true?
Well, there are all different types of beings in the water. Just because a being is quote unquote a mermaid doesn't mean they like you or they like humans. You know what I mean? Or they like people. So there have been talks about, I guess you could say, mermaid-like individuals that kill humans, kill sailors, kill whatever, right? So they may not necessarily be fond of us, or they may not want us coming in their territory. They're protecting their territory.
Okay, let's get to what should Aries, or what's that, 6 of clubs?
Yeah, Aries need to look out for some change in direction, plot twists in their life, because the North Node is in Aries. So when the North Node comes through, it usually catapults you towards some destined moments, so you may be feeling pulled in a different direction. You may be, there's going to be a lot of Aries, obviously, that move, that go to new places, decide to leave their career and go do other things. This is what the North Node does. The North Node puts you in contact with people who alter and shift your direction.
Any advice for the King of Clubs?
King of Clubs. My son is a King of Clubs right now, and I think he's in a state of the United States last year was displacing the King of Clubs with a 9 of spades. So that brought some potential endings for King of Clubs, or clubs people, clubs men, etc. If you're a clubs man like you are, you're a King of Clubs. That's your higher self, your higher King of Clubs. But the King of Clubs at this point are messengers. That's what King of Clubs are. So this is a time when messengers, because that's why everybody got all these podcasts and stuff like that, right? This is a time when messengers really, really, really have the floor, right? But the King of Clubs, even more so, because not only are y'all messengers, but y'all are mentors. You know, y'all are supposed to be the keepers of the law. Y'all supposed to be the keepers of the moral code. You know, you're supposed to deal with morality and teach it to the people. So this is your opportunity to have the floor. You know, this is your opportunity to rise to your king and build your kingdom. This is good time for King of Clubs.
What you said, that was in my sign, the King of Clubs or something?
King of Clubs is your higher, your king, because you're a club man. So club men, their king is the King of Clubs.
Okay.
That king is the king of righteousness. That king is the keeper of morality, of what do you call it? Character. The king of character. Right? So that's what you guys, you know, that's what y'all are supposed to uphold and to teach, is to teach character.
All right. Good, great advice. Great advice. My Saturn is Sagittarius. I want to travel, but afraid of planes. Does one have to do with the other?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Saturn will bring fear, but
Yeah.
that also represents your greatest triumph. You know what I mean? Like if you got Saturn and Sagittarius, I would suggest that you train to be a pilot.
Ooh.
And you know, they just actually opened up a program to train people of color, more of us as pilots. So I would suggest you jump on that.
All right. What's the most important thing we need to know in the second half of this year?
Oh, there's gonna be some big stuff coming. That's what you need to know. You need to prepare for that. Follow your gut. You know, when your gut is warning you and stuff like that, I would say follow your gut. It's definitely going down the rest of this year. There's going to be some big events. It looks like it's going to be a big event, maybe sometime around October, November. Scorpio season is going to be pretty lit with something. So absolutely, I would prepare. So the thing is, this just look into where your spirit is trying to lead you. You know what I mean? And if your spirit is trying to lead you somewhere, go. Go. Don't question it. Just get up and go.
I'm a Capricorn, 1155.
Spades in the house. God is with us. Is this a good God? Let me tell you something. You're king of spades. Every season is good for you. Every season is good for you. You are the master of all masters. You know what I mean? So, but you got to put yourself out there. You got to put yourself up there. You know, you got to do big things because, you know, the door is wide open for you. I love King of Spades. I'm like, you don't understand. I tell everybody, Ice Spice is a King of Spades. And everybody want to know why she's doing so well, because she's a King of Spades. You know what I mean? Like all she had to do was put herself out there for 5 minutes. Now, boom, she's on the cover of magazines.
Yeah, like she done blew up for real, for real.
She's a King of Spades.
Let's see. Oh, somebody wants to know, can you share book recommendations? And I know you just came out with a book. So could you talk about that?
Came out with a couple of books. So I just my cardology book, the Karmic Bible, a Karmic Handscript, I forget what it's called, is coming out next week. But I just released a book on AI called AI Explained: Humanity's Guide to Artificial Intelligence, because that is what you need to be mastering right now. Absolutely. We need to not be fearful right now, because AI is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. And it's only going to grow even more so. So we need to get involved in that. We need to have that for ourselves, because I believe it was made for us, number one, because it was made to make life easier. It was made, it basically, it exists right now at this time to break us out of these jobs and slavery and stuff that we don't want to be in. and is there to make us better entrepreneurs and more productive, so that we have more time to spend to ourselves. So definitely you want to get involved in that. Absolutely. Throw out the fear, break yourself from the internet of fear.
Somebody
Mhm.
somebody said Atlantis had AI. How true is this?
Absolutely.
Let's see. Wow.
Absolutely. We are AI. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we literally, this is us all day. It's what you make of it. People have to understand everything is what you make of it. It's
Yeah.
not evil only if you think you're evil. How do you feel about yourself? You
Ooh.
know? So if you feel that you're evil and you get involved, then you're adding evil. But if you trust yourself, then you should trust yourself to do whatever. You know what I mean? So AI is more like a what do you call it? It's an assistant.
Mhm.
It is not the Lord. You are the Lord. It is the assistant. Next year, everybody's gonna have personal AIs.
Mm. That's
They're
what's
gonna have
going down.
they're gonna have their own personal AI.
That's what's going down, huh?
Yes.
Yo, you messing with Apple's new that's coming out next year? What is called the
Oh, absolutely. I'm heavy in the metaverse. I build metaverse worlds. Absolutely. But for now, the new Oculus 3 is coming out in September. That
mm,
is well sufficient for,
mm,
for you to be able to get some good metaverse stuff in.
mm,
Absolutely. And I did just release an app, by the way.
mm,
My app is called the eKing AI.
mm,
And actually, I'll type in the link for you to get. I'm very big into the eKing. And the reason that I'm big into the eKing is because the eKing is like having your own spiritual guide.
mm.
So when you got questions that are really, really deep and you need some guidance, the eKing AI is going to give you the guidance that you need to be able to make those decisions. So this is an app that my followers have been waiting for a long time, and I just dropped it today. So
Oh,
I'll put the link out for that in the chat. But you're going to need spiritual guidance, and spirit is like literally coming through with all types of things that are going to give you that extra spiritual edge during this time.
mhm, mhm. Excellent, excellent. Well, this was an amazing conversation, y'all. This was absolutely amazing. I can't get to every super chat tonight, y'all, because
Someone
we'll be
said
on.
no AI and metaverse for me. Well, let me tell you something. There's going to come a time when you can't go outside.
Mm,
It's not going to last forever, but there is going to come a time when you cannot go outside.
let me ask a couple of these. I'm a Virgo with my Saturn and Aquarius. Any advice for me that will help me through the rest of this year?
Natal Saturn and Aquarius, Virgo through the rest of the year. Saturn and Aquarius. You are supposed to be building the future. You're supposed to be planning. You're supposed to be planning the details. And what I was just talking about, AI, that's you all day. You a master. You know what I mean? Like literally, you are a master. So you're supposed to be building this new future that we're talking about. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Saturn, remember, is a builder of foundations. Aquarius is technology, it's the future, it's metaphysics. There's going to be a marriage of metaphysics and technology.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like metaphysics is going to be totally married with technology. That's what Pluto and Aquarius is going to bring us. It's going to bring that convergence of metaphysics and technology. We're going to see how technology is a part of metaphysics and how metaphysics is a form of technology.
All right, last question, then we're gonna get out of here. I gotta answer this question. This person sent me $50. Thank you. Look beneath the surface. All right,
Sweet.
look beneath the surface said I was born 5/5/85, and I learned that I was born on the Ace of Spades.
Spades.
I don't know how much about it, and what should I expect with the eclipses coming up for the next phase of my life, this age of Aquarius era.
That's interesting. You said that this is the last question, and then we get an ace of spades,
Yeah.
which is like literally the stamp of bam.
Wow.
So this is it. That is like I'm saying that this is it.
Mm.
Ace of Spades are so well equipped for this time. Think of Ace of Spades as a huge Scorpio, right? And
Mm.
one of the things that I talked about is how times of trouble, times of war, these are times that Scorpios thrive, right?
Mm.
And these are also times that Ace of Spades thrive. You know, you are literally built to survive a nuclear war. You know what I mean? Like literally, that's where your survival level is. And because you're built that way, what does that mean? That means that you are tapped on at this time to be a builder, right? Because we're going to need people who are building the future while the past is ending. While
Mm.
things are being destroyed, we need people who are strong enough to withstand the destruction to continue to build. Because just because it's an end, it's also a new beginning. So people like you are going to be the ones that are able to function while everything is just in chaos. Me too. And so is Brother Rich. Like we are built that way. You know, we're built to function while things are in chaos. So that means that these are our times. This is our time to shine during this time.
Mm. Excellent. With that being said, we're about to wrap. We're going to wrap it up, family. I want to thank everybody in the chat for participating. I want to thank Aquarius and Maximus for joining us on the platform. Before we get out of here, Aquarius, give them all your info. You got so much going on. Give
I
them all
know,
your
I
info. Let
do.
them know how they could get it.
I do. Well, of course, you can come to my website, aquariusmaximus.com. And also my YouTube. I'm doing videos on YouTube now. I try to get that done. And just also this guap coin. I'm doing a lot with guap. I'm doing a lot of speaking, coming out. You know, we're actually going to be in New Orleans on the 17th to the 20th. I want to be teaching cardology there. So we have the cardology. We got a retreat with Lloyd Strayhorn, etc. So come see me in New Orleans. If you want to learn cardology, if you want to learn numerology, etc. We're all about teaching and really spreading this. Like you need to get this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then you can also get readings. You can book a reading on my website. And because you watched us here today, if you hit me up on Instagram and you want to book a reading, hit me up for the code to get 50% off of my reading because I usually make it Brother Rich when I'm on the site and when I'm on your show. So hit me up on Instagram and not one of my clones. Hit me up on Instagram and I'll give you the code so that you could get half off of a full reading and book a reading with me.
Yeah, that's big, y'all. 50% off for the readings. Her readings are thorough. They're serious. And so I advise y'all to definitely get one if you could. With that being said, once again, thank you, Aquarius, for coming on tonight. Send me some of the links. Sometimes I forget to put the links up. Send me the links and I could put them after after the video is not live. I could go and put it in the description because I know
Okay.
you got so many links for the people. So send me those links.
I do.
I'll put them in the description. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for coming on, Aquarius.
You're welcome.
All right. Peace, family. We out of here.